Yo, what's up, guys? It's Kess. We got our next round of midnight beta development notes, the December 3rd patch. And yeah, we're just going to go over the dev and aug changes again. And starting out right away, I don't know if this bugs you guys, but I feel like it's reached a point where it sort of frustrates me because to me, it kind of says like, to me, it says like the development is like done for Evoker and that they've run out of ideas to further change things. And from here on out, all we're gonna get is like numbers tuning. And what I mean by that is like immediately every time you open a blue post, if you just scroll down and you look at basically every spec, a lot of them are the same every week, you know, mage, DK, shaman, stuff like that. They just get so many notes. It's a lot of numbers, it's a lot of changes, a lot of fundamental changes, stuff like that, right? Ours is very dry. And it seems like that is just a recurring thing every week. And I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. But to me, today I just like kind of saw it and I was like, this just feels bad at this point. Like, I don't know. Either we don't get attention, they're out of ideas, or they just maybe feel like they don't need to do anything. Maybe they're happy with where we are. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. Maybe I'm off on that. I'm not sure, but just sort of a thought I had today. But anyways, yeah, you scroll down and you finally get to us. And well, let's start off with Aug. Personal and pet damage of all spells reduced by 15%. Duplicate no longer increases ebb and might self damage. Increased by 100% while it is active. So another personal damage hit. Duplicates 100% increase to ebb and might, no longer snapshots. That's fair. That one's reasonable. I get it. And then our tier set extends ebb and might by 0.25 instead of 0.5. This is fine because you could get like 100% uptime on bosses super, super easy. This shouldn't be too big of a hit, the bottom line. But again, we're just at the point of this is the second time we've nerfed Evoker this patch cycle already. We can't figure out the personal damage. We can't figure out where we want it to be for personal damage. We can't figure out if we want it to be a personal damage DPS class, or someone that buffs people, and then we rely on our buffs. And I feel like they're trying to find like that middle point. So I don't really know how this is gonna play. I did one key today. I'll show you the log a little bit after we go through this, but yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like upset or mad about this. I'm just like confused. I just don't know what they want Augmentation Evoker to be. And basically, it's like a patch note comes out, we get changes, we get buffed, and it's like, okay, it looks like they want us to be, more of a personal DPS class. And then we get more changes the next week, and it's like, well, okay, now they don't want us doing as much personal damage, but now our buffs still suck because they've never been tuned really since, they kind of got shit on long ago, minus a few small changes. So I'm just like, I don't really know what Aug is supposed to be in this game, where it's supposed to fit in. I'm just like confused. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. It felt fine to play still. It's not really a big deal, but we'll go over that in a bit. Devastation. This, I could go on forever about this. Animosity's effect now diminishes by 25% per power spell cast during Reagan Rage. So, if we just like watch some gameplay here, I'm just gonna fast forward a bit. Okay, so I press Dragon Rage here, and just watch when I press. So you see my Dragon Rage timer in the middle here. So just watch when I press my Empower spells. I'm about to Eternity Surge, hopefully here. Extend here. Okay, I'm at 5 seconds. 4. Boom! It extended to 7 seconds. So I got a 2-second increase there at the end of my Dragon Rage. Okay. So basically what that is as your Dragon Rage goes on, every consecutive empowered gives you less time. Basically what this ends up being is you get about a 30-second Dragon Rage. Okay? 30-second Dragon Rage. Which, okay, it sucks because before this, they basically uncapped animosity. They never officially told us that they were doing that, but that was the case. So you could get like 70-second Dragon Rages, right? And then that combined with your Apex talent, you were like, you know, 70-second Dragon Rage, then you would have your Rising Fury buff after, and then it was like 30-ish second downtime between your next Dragon Rage and like losing your buffs, right? That felt pretty good. It was obviously a little broken, you know. I kind of figured they would change it. I think it's completely fair to change it, but I think this is just the weirdest way to change it because now this creates problems with our Apex talent. Like my worry now is that if I just pull up the log here and go to my summary so we can read the talents is yeah, okay, so right here. Rising Fury, these first two talents. So when Dragon Rage is active, you gain Rising Fury every 6 seconds, blah, 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 blah. You get the haste buff up to 5 times, okay? And then at max stacks, you get 15% damage. You are going to get 5 seconds of this at the peak of your cooldown. So in Dragon Rage, in Lust, you are going to get 5 seconds of this. Now you're probably going to have to track this and pay attention to this, and your globals in those 5 seconds is going to be the most important thing, probably, right? So we get 5 seconds of our Apex talent in cooldowns. You know, you still get the additional Rising Fury after. That's the same, but that's outside of your cooldowns right now. So, you know, before this, we would get Rising Fury, 5 stacks, then we would get the damage increase, the max haste, all of that for like 35 seconds, right? Because we were getting like a 70-second Dragon Rage, give or take. So now we get it 30 seconds. We get the buff for about 5 seconds. And now I'm like, well, now our Apex talent kind of feels not so good. Especially if you played beta the last 2 weeks. So, now comes the question, are they going to change this at all? I highly doubt they will. It's probably still fine to them. But my big concern now is the margin for error in that 5-second window you get might be quite high. People won't like that, especially if we're supposed to be a simple spec. That is their words. They want this to be a simple spec. And the second thing is now there's going to be a lot more emphasis on what you do after Dragon Rage. And obviously, of course, with your character, that's a given, right? What damage buttons you press, right? But that's just going to be your basic rotation. It won't be anything too spicy. But more importantly, what does the quarterback of whatever group environment you're in do? And what I mean by that is, what does the tank pull? You know, what does the raid encounter have? Stuff like that is drastically going to change how it feels to play Evoker again. Like, remember the Emirdrasil set? The Emirdrasil set was kind of the same thing. You would press Dragon Rage, you would ramp it up, and then, you know, you'd try to take advantage of the ramped buff, right? Well, now it's like we have a really short Dragon Rage, and then we have the buff after, and like what we do with that buff, if it's downtime, if it's travel time, we're going to be quite sad. Now, on one other end of this, I could see this maybe being a good thing overall because, so like before, you know, I'd say the average pull, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. The average M plus pull is like, let's say a minute to a minute and a half. Longer ones would be 2 minutes, 1 minute 45, right? If we had a 70-second Dragon Rage and then you held the buff for a while after, let's say to about a minute 30, sometimes that felt bad because if the pull died around the 70-second mark, 75-second mark, and then you just have the buff for travel time, right? So now that we have a 30-second Dragon Rage, if the average pull is like a minute to a minute and a half, let's say, you might actually just naturally get full value out of your Rising Fury buff after. That could be a case. Assuming you send Dragon Rage on pull, it might not actually be a bad thing in M+. But again, we'll have to pay attention to that. I will say, I'm honestly okay with this. It was just a little weird how they decided to change animosity, I think. Kind of feels bad at the start, especially we played the last 2 weeks. But we take a look now, like playing it, it felt completely fine. The damage is obviously still terrific. It feels pretty smooth. Scale Commander and Flame Shaper honestly feel fine. Um, I like it. I'm still happy with it. I think just going to take a little bit of getting used to. And again, my only worry is now our Apex talents sort of feels a lot less exciting. And the Apex talents are supposed to be the exciting thing for our characters in the new expansion, right? This is the big thing. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Honestly, it was fine. Here's my breakdown, which also is just so weird. My breakdown changes so much dungeon to dungeon, by the way. It is crazy. Like this dungeon had a bunch of like little smally mobs, so like Deep Breathed Insane. Eternity Surge, I believe also got some buffs. They changed something with the auras. They like zeroed out a lot of the auras and then they buffed a lot of the spells. So I think Eternity Surge kind of came out on top there. Pyre, Disintegrate, Sweep, Fire Breath, Squadron, Bombardments, Living Flame. Still no proper bombardment tracking on the Blizzard nameplates. Hopefully they add that. Quite annoying. But I think I'll go over like a wants and needs thing for Dev and Aug in terms of like UI and like character in another video. You know, like permanent visage form and just like random like little stuff like that. Compile it all into one. But yeah, that's Dev overall. I'm happy with it. And then let's move on to Aug. Now, again, this was a very, very scuffed key. We had like 60 deaths. This dungeon is absolute nightmare for the first experience. But here's what my breakdown looks like. Eruption, Ebonmite, Eon, Shifting Sands, Duplicate. And this is the important one. This got nerfed so hard. This used to be the top. This used to be your top damage. Now it's, you know, doing 7% of my overall. Again, wasn't a clean run, but that is a pretty big hit to Duplicate. So, one thing I want to point out too is like, go here, and this is where I'm like, dude, they're like confused. So let's go to the Lust window, and again, ignore the damage. It looks like I'm owning. I'm not. Like they're doing 20k DPS. They obviously died, right? I didn't die. I had no one to buff. Don't freak out about that. Here's the Lust window when everyone was alive and everything, and here's what the breakdown looks like in Lust. Ebonmite, Eruption, Eons, Shifting Sands, and then, again, your Apex talent. So the Apex talent shifted insane. Not really doing as much anymore. Still decent, but now here's where I'm, like, confused, man. Because it's like, when everyone's alive and stuff like that, and everyone's doing their damage, Ebonmite, all of a sudden, is, like, taking over / competing with Eruption. So what do they want us to be? Because it keeps changing, and I don't know. We just need to pick a lane and stay in that lane, and then we can tune Aug from there. I don't know. It's sort of getting frustrating to me, but yeah. If they want us to be a buff bot, like, I don't know, you'd have to bring up probably some of these other buffs, maybe. Like, let's reset the zoom and go to my overall, right? Ebonmite's fine. Eons is fine. Shifting Sands is fine. This also changes a lot with stats. Prescience, like, I don't know. It's okay. Inferno's Blessing, I think could use some love. But I don't know. I just don't know what they want us to be. I'm just confused. But yeah, I mean, it still did fine. I think there's still hope that both evoker specs can go into the expansion doing well. Again, as of right now, can change week to week, but yeah, those are probably my thoughts for today. It was interesting for sure. I definitely had a knee-jerk reaction on the Devastation changes, but then I played totally fine. Just worried about the Apex talent. The evoker one, or the Aug evoker ones, when I read them, I was obviously annoyed, upset, and confused. But you know, playing with it, it's like, okay, like it's fine. I just want, like, my only ask is I want them to pick what they want our breakdown to look like. Do they want us to be 60-40 personal DPS to buff DPS? Do they want it to be 7-30, 50-50? Do they want it to be swayed more towards the buff slash personal buff side. Like, you know what I mean? That's all I want. But anyways, enough rambling for me. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next week video for the beta updates. Peace.